Adrian Newey has opened up about his future, and it seems like the British mastermind does not plan to be resting at any time soon. Although many connected him with a retirement move, it seems like Newey is not ready to give up on the sport just yet, and things have gotten a bit more intense at Red Bull. This begs the question, will his move to a team like Ferrari and Aston Martin provoke more personnel from Red Bull? And more importantly, will this impact Verstappen's stance with the Austrian team? It goes without saying that one of the biggest shake-ups in the sport has been presented by Adrian Newey's decision to leave Red Bull at the end of the year, mostly because of his knowledge and expertise that propelled the Austrian team to where they are right now in the hands of Max Verstappen. But after managing to negotiate a mastermind move in which the Brit won't have to serve any gardening leave and be able to join a team from 2025 onwards, therefore effectively impacting the 2026 design of the car of any team he joins, Newey has been making the headlines constantly regarding a move to Aston Martin or Ferrari. These rumours have been simmered down by one of the closest friends of Newey and his manager, Eddie Jordan, who went on to say that after the Red Bull tenure, the Brit will most likely take some time off from the sport, something that Newey himself hinted at after saying that now it's time to spend some time with the family and his dog. But after the latest statement of the 65-year-old, it seems like things are all but finished on his end. And when talking about the post-Red Bull era, Newey went on to say, "To walk away from Red Bull was a very hard decision, but it was one I needed to take for a whole host of reasons. They had been my family. I never really thought it would be big news, so for it to be in all the papers and on the television was almost a bit of a shock. I've been lucky enough to fulfill the ambition to be in motor racing as a designer since I was the age of 8 or 10. Every day has just been a bonus. I just love what I do. I will have a bit of a holiday, and as Forrest Gump said at the end of his long run, I feel a bit tired at the moment, but at some point I'll probably go again." The situation between Newey and Red Bull is a bit complicated now because he's working on the hypercar project, the RB17, which has been one of the most favourite projects that he could have chosen to work with. However, the manner of how this went down the wire between him and Horner sparked all of the controversy in the first place. As of now, it's obvious that Newey will be absent from the majority of the races that the F1 caravan will visit, due to the primary focus being the RB17 project. But that does not mean that he won't be working on the next move in his career, which could potentially be a move to Maranello or Silverstone. Even Helmut Marko has changed his opinion regarding where Newey would end up, because at the beginning of the saga he said it feels like the Brit would choose Ferrari rather than any other team, only for him to go and change his opinion and say that the green colour would suit him the best. We must remind you that in the past there have been a lot of attempts by Ferrari to bring Newey in. Unfortunately, they all failed because of the fact that the 65-year-old did not find it accommodating to live in Italy and move from his home in the UK. This is why Aston Martin is considered to be one of the strongest candidates for his signature, especially after Honda is about to start the collaboration with the Silverstone-based team from 2026 onwards, and they have one of the drivers that Newey is sad to not have worked with in the past, Fernando Alonso. The stakes are quite high on the other end as well, because the other two regrets in Newey's career are composed in one team, Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton. It goes without saying that the situation is quite difficult for him, not because of the lack of choice, quite the contrary, but because of the massive shake-up that will strike the grid from 2026 onwards, when the massive emphasis will be put on the engine and battery performance rather than the downforce generation of the current ground effect era. This is a time where teams like McLaren and Mercedes are waiting on their chance because they've smelled blood in the water. And when talking about the reunion of the Woking-based squad and Adrian Newey, Zak Brown reminded everyone that you should never say never, and when such an accolade like Newey is available, you should always try to pursue his signature. Mercedes, on the other hand, while having the smallest chance to land Newey, have been highly connected to bringing Verstappen if the turmoil in Red Bull doesn't end anytime soon, which would effectively mean that a potential reunion between the Dutchman and Newey would be written in the stars, although Verstappen himself said that the departure of the 65-year-old has been blown blown out of proportion by the media. Talking about Newey's departure from the team, the three-time world champion said, "Of course, Adrian was incredibly important for the success that Red Bull had, but over time his role has changed a bit. I think a lot of people don't understand what he was actually doing. I don't say he is not doing anything, but his role has evolved. A lot of good people came into the team that has strengthened the whole department. Of course, I would have preferred him to stay because you can always rely on his experience, but I also really trust that the technical team we have outside of Adrian is very, very strong, and they have basically shown that for the last few years with how competitive the car is." But unlike Verstappen, Sergio Perez does not agree with the stance that Newey's importance in the team is not that big and that Red Bull won't feel the impact of his departure right away. The Mexican driver is convinced that the team Newey chooses as his next home would feel the impact of getting to work with such an experienced and knowledgeable figure in the sport. Further adding, to have him around on race weekends was great. Newey is a very strong individual, and wherever he goes he will cause an immediate impact, but it is a whole group of people that he will require to have around him as well. This is one of the biggest obstacles and challenges that Newey has to overcome if he is to join another team. He would either have to blend into an already existing team, or he'd have to bring his own engineers in order to form up a group on which he can rely and he can trust, so that the expected results would be delivered on the team's porch. But as we speak, it's no secret that the interest of Ferrari kind of remains the highest, and when being asked about Newey's potential arrival, both Leclerc and Hamilton were smiling with a shy note that they still have no idea about this scenario becoming a reality. But the seven-time world champion said that, like Newey, his biggest wish is to have a collaboration with each other before their careers end. This only goes to show that maybe Hamilton knew something that we don't, even though his move was announced a couple of months before Newey. So when talking about having the experienced 65-year-old in the team, the seven-time world champion added, "Adrian has such a great history and track record. He has obviously just done an amazing job through his career and engaging with teams, and the knowledge that he has, I think he would be an amazing addition. I think Ferrari already got a great team. They are already making huge progress, strides forward, and their car is quicker this year. It would be a privilege to work with him. We just always need to remember that there is a lot of people in the background and there is not one key person." This is the same answer that Alonso said as well when being asked about a potential collaboration between Aston Martin and Newey. The problem is that he would have to blend into a system that is already existing without him, and if you are such a powerful figure like Newey, you might find it hard to assert dominance and authority over senior engineers who already feel like they are making big progress in their fields, regardless of the results on the track. All of this is poised to make a very interesting ending on the Newey saga, and with this in mind, it's up to us, I guess, to wait and see where the 65-year-old will end up. The main question, though, remains to be answered. Will Newey's departure trigger more dominoes to fall from Red Bull as Zak Brown anticipated? Which team do you think will be Newey's next destination? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, have a look at the video that's appearing on your screen right now.